It's a long time since I reviewed the original Moto G. Actually, it's only 3.5 years, but that's an age in mobile. That first G was a sleeper hit. Sturdily designed, it offered unmatched price to performance. Since then, Moto itself has changed ownership and all the range have received facelifts. Last year's G4 was somewhat controversial, swapping affordable and pocketable for a 5.5-inch phone with a fairly high launch price. Lenovo have dialed back for the G5. At £170, it's clear the G has outgrown its original entry-level trappings, but it can still be considered a budget phone. The key specifications are Android 7 Nougat, 1.4 GHz octa-core Snapdragon 430 processor, a 5-inch Full HD display, a removable 2800 mAh battery, a rear 13-megapixel camera with phase detection autofocus, a front-facing 5-megapixel camera, and a fingerprint reader with swipe navigation. For this review, I've used the single SIM model, and that has 2 gigs of RAM. There is a dual SIM model with 3 gigs of RAM, that's not available at the time of review. Now, in a world of big screens, 5-inch is the new sweet spot, and you won't find much smaller. The G5's IPS panel stays at Full HD 1080 when other budget devices drop to 720. The G5 shape is reminiscent of the first 3 G phones. The chunky design doesn't feel ugly or thick, and it is pleasantly weighty. The G4 lost this. Its slim construction and aluminium frame emulated premium phones, but lost personality in the process. I do miss the old banana-style curve and rear dimple of the early G phones. That's no big issue, but they did create a comfortable profile. The back cover here has a two-tone effect and is removable. This reveals the SIM and SD trays, and in a first for the G range, a removable battery. That's a surprise feature. Even recent entry-level phones use sealed constructions. This may pull in a subset of buyers who want just that. Elsewhere, the camera is surrounded by a large black circle. This mimics the design of the Moto Z range. Also, the volume rocker and power button have satisfying travel and click. The fascia is a little busy. A fingerprint sensor sits on the chin. This is a simple oval pad. It doesn't click down, but it can act as a navigation button. On the top bezel, you'll find the main speaker, selfie camera, and Moto logo. Overall, there's nothing really to dislike. The only detraction is probably the fact they've used a micro USB port rather than the newer USB Type-C. Nothing major, but one minor oversight. Out of the box, you'll find a fairly bare-bones Android 7 installation. It looks stock thanks to the Google Now launcher, but it isn't quite. Some Moto tweaks are in the settings, including managers for Moto Lenovo IDs, backup services, and privacy settings, all of which are optional and can be turned off. One extra I do love are Moto's gestures and display notifications. These have been around for a couple of years, and it's great to see them still utilised. For those not in the know, you can karate chop twice to turn the flashlight on, twist the phone around twice to load the camera, flip the phone over for do not disturb, pick it up to stop ringing, and you have the screen notifications that fade in and out when the screen is off rather than use an LED. A new addition with the fingerprint sensor is one-button navigation. When activated, you can tap the pad for home, swipe left and right across to go either back or to recent apps. Enabling this removes the standard Android navigation bar. Takes a bit of getting used to, but it's pretty smooth once you're accustomed. Now, Android 7's been out for a little while, but its appearance on cheaper phones will probably be the first experience of it for many users. There aren't many big new features. This is refinement rather than revolution. The bottom of the home screen has changed. You can now dock 5 apps here rather than 4, with the central one replacing the app drawer button. Accessing the apps is now done by a swipe up from the bottom of the screen. We move closer to fully gesture-based interaction with the eye with this refinement of Android. Other Android 7 improvements are subtle: better battery life through an update to Doze, support for switching languages on the keyboard quickly, and native Daydream VR. These are all fairly niche footnotes though. One big new feature is split screen. A third-party addition from some manufacturers, it's now native to Android 7. Simply put, it does work. If you tap the recent apps button, the usual vertical list of active apps is displayed. A prompt at the top of the screen explains how to access the split screen. Drag a window to this area and it will lock in place, taking up half the screen. The other half still shows the vertical app list for you to choose the second window. This works, although at this 5-inch screen size you are left feeling pretty cramped. I personally can't see it improving productivity that much for many outside of tablet size screens. One use I did find though was playing a YouTube video, which still won't play in the background, alongside browsing. However, being made to read articles on a half a 5-inch screen wasn't that pleasant. It's oft repeated, but a camera can make or break a phone. Next to the screen, the camera is likely the most expensive individual component. Yet so much about camera quality rests on more than just providing a good module and lens. Image processing and software trickery can utterly change the final result. This is one reason cheaper handsets tend to have poor cameras. Lesser known manufacturers don't have the resources to develop decent imaging software. Dumping the Google camera app supplied with stock Android can often result in barely passable results. The Moto G has always walked a tightrope here. The Moto camera app is basic. The final image processing is certainly not the same level as a top-tier iPhone, Galaxy or LG. You do still get manual options, however. Switching to Pro mode provides white balance, ISO, etc. If there is one marked improvement over the last generation of Moto G, it would be the PDAF, phase detection autofocus. This has been all the rage in more expensive devices for a year or so. PDAF is the foil to CDAF, contrast detection autofocus, which is cheaper and easier to implement. Without doing a full science bit, the simpler contrast detection is generally considered much slower for stills and landscapes. It's also arguably not as refined. PDAF often focuses faster and more accurately on moving subjects as well. PDAF does though still require a decent natural contrast to do good focusing. As a result, low light images on the Moto G5 still aren't amazing. They're better than they ever have been on a G of course, but still not the best. The most expensive devices out there still have improved lenses and larger sensor pixels to increase the amount of captured light, which is the only way to improve low light images in these situations. Still, this is the best camera to ever grace a Moto G and, by extension, one of the better cameras you'll ever find on a phone this price. The Moto G5 continues this brand's traditions strongly. At this point, the Moto G name has cemented itself as a go-to cheaper phone, and rightly so. Putting the G4 to one side a little, good phone that it is, the G range has mostly succeeded through simplicity. The design, interface and capabilities have always been welcoming and easy to understand. There are then more advanced capabilities just a few touches away for users that know about them. The specification too, whilst never groundbreaking, always ensures the phones perform well for a good length of time. This is something many other cheaper phones, even today, forget about when pushing the cost down. Moto G phones work across many demographics. Teenager liable to break things, money-conscious student also liable to break things, seniors looking at their first smartphone, etc. I'm happy to say the Moto G5 is more of the same. Once again, we have a basic smartphone with up-to-date hardware and software that's pleasant and simple to use. There is undoubtedly more competition in this tier of phones than ever before. Consumers are also far more savvy these days. For those not wanting to drudge through pages of comparisons and specifications though, the Moto G5 is a solid choice. It's a Ford Focus. It's a low-cost Samsung TV that doesn't have 4K or an internet connection. It's a hot-point washing machine with simple programs and no flashing lights and buttons and displays. It's a tool, a modern-day tool that gets the job done well without costing too much or shouting too loud about it.